Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. When I saw this article, I was open-mouthed and agog. I was like, huh? I went, what? What? She said what? Sturgeon said that? It was astounding. It was truly astounding. And I think you will find it truly astounding as well. I mean, this is the ultimate pot calling the kettle black moment. This is Sturgeon's pot and kettle supreme. She said something that left me astonished that the words didn't fly back into her mouth and slap her. This is the world's most astoundingly obsessed woman saying something quite astonishing. Anyway, we'll have a look at it, and I'm pretty sure you will find it quite funny, and certainly find it as astounding as I did. Unbelievable. So, Nicola Sturgeon takes aim at lawyers against the juryless rape trials, saying that they have immovable views. This is Nicola Sturgeon, a woman who's seen everything through the optics of independence, where there is no movement. There can be no movement. It must be absolute independence at every stage. There can be no going back. There can be no bending. And she says that lawyers have immovable views. Well, in this case, the lawyers do have immovable views. Their views are that justice must be done and be seen to be done. Justice must not be in the hand of the executive. It must be in the hand of the people, which is something that they really, truly cannot abide, because it means that, how dare they? When the establishment, arrests you, the establishment charges you, the establishment prosecutes you, and now the establishment sits as judge, jury and executioner. There is no distance from the establishment. And she wants this. And she says it's lawyers have an immovable view. Unbelievable. Nicola Sturgeon has said she underestimated the problem of polarisation in politics and said lawyers embroiled in the boycott of these trials with a single judge is a case in point. If there's any polarisation in politics, it's as a result of you polarising everything. There is no concession anymore. There's no convention of let's go, okay, we'll bend to this, we'll give you this one because it's a good idea. You are the one who's fought everything the whole time and then moans when it doesn't go your way. But to say that they are immovable, it's a joke. Nicola Sturgeon said that the polarisation of politics that she started and the trend to adopt fixed and immovable positions that she has lived her life by is behind the almost unanimous backlash against jury reforms she signed off on. The fact is that nobody, and I mean nobody, thinks it's a good idea except her and her little clique. Here's an example of why it's not an acceptable idea. Apart from Scotland wanting to bring it in, here's a list of every other country in the world that has this. And that's it. Scotland. And they haven't got it yet. And even if they try to bring it in, no lawyer, no barrister, no solicitor will push for it. It will be dead in the water. But she says, it's just the intransigence. It's just they are fixed in their views. Says the most singularly obsessed woman in the history of the world. The former First Minister, in a column for The Guardian, admitted that the proposal needs serious consideration. No, it needs zero consideration. The men who are going to be prosecuted don't want it. Their defence lawyers don't want it. The barristers don't want it. And the High Court judges don't want it. No other country in the world wants it. And it won't even go through because it won't pass muster. It would be a breach of the European Court of Human Rights. So it isn't going to happen. But they want to push it because they need to have more men in prison, regardless of whether they're guilty or not, but simply for the optics. Controversy spiralled when several bar associations, in fact all of them now, declared the pilot was constitutionally repugnant and accused ministers of arrogance. And treating the courts as forensic laboratories in which to experiment with their policies and thus with people's lives. Within days of outcry, It was expected that 7 of Scotland's legal professional groups would refuse to take part in the scheme and accused an arrogant SNP of failing to account for their expertise. And in fact, all of them now, it is unanimous in Scotland. And it isn't just the solicitors, the lawyers and the barristers that have said against it. Even the judges are coming out, and the judges are saying no, they're not going to do it. It removes a basic tenet of justice. But that's not what the SNP want. And of course, the Justice Minister, she is busy trying to push it through regardless. But the opposition are up there and they are fighting it. But they're now threatening, the opposition are actually threatening to push this straight through to the European Court of Human Rights, simply because it is so anti-common sense, apart from anything else, but anti-justice, anti-human rights. It's the sort of thing you'd get in a third world dictatorship. So it slots right in with SNP thinking, of course. But for her to criticise it and say these people, how dare these people have these views that they are unchanging and unflinching in. I mean, jaw-droppingly unbelievable, isn't it? Sturgeon can't do anything without being the high and mighty. She's always right. She will brook no dissent. She will not change one line, not one letter, not one tittle will change under her leadership. But now she's not the leader, and of course everything's changing, and she absolutely hates it. Anyway, one of Scotland's most respected legal figures has blasted the effort to boost the conviction rates. Former Supreme Court Judge Lord Pope of Craigshead said the hugely controversial bill risks undermining the most basic principle of judicial independence. And he admitted the unprecedented potential for judges to be removed if they fail to convict alleged men in sufficient numbers made him very uneasy. This is the executive. This is the people like the SNP are saying to independent judges who theoretically cannot be removed, we're going to bring this in. We're going to put you on a jury trial, a juryless trial. If you fail to convict enough men, you lose your job. Now, when you look at that, tell me this. Where is justice? Oh my God, if this man isn't guilty, I lose my job. Right, you're guilty, down you go. But I didn't do it, Your Honour. I know you didn't do it, but you've got to go to jail because I need to keep my job. Take him down, officer. And that is justice in Scotland, thanks to the SNP. God help you if you commit a crime, and God help you worse if you don't. Miss Sturgeon wrote, on the issue of polarisation, I think that, if anything, I underestimated the depth of the problem. Of course, you underestimate the depth of every problem you've ever created. She also went on to say, I also recognise that the arguments for and against are finely balanced. No, they're not. They are not finely balanced. It is so one-sided that it is a joke that you're even standing and looking at the other side. It is 99.9999% of the people are on one side, and you and your two mates are on the other side. That is where you are. It is not finely balanced, and to call it finely balanced means you're an idiot, or you're evil and you just want to put men in prison for no reason whatsoever so that it looks good. Have you considered firing shitty prosecutors? No, you just want to put more men in prison rather than getting prosecutors that can actually do their job. Anyway, there's always been a recognition that the principle and detail of this proposal needs serious consideration. It does not need serious consideration. It needs to be seriously binned. There is no further consideration on it. She says, but before the ink was even dry on the draft legislation, without a single word or debate or evidence being heard in Parliament, let alone the shape of the final proposal being known, fixed positions had been staked. Yes, because some people kind of like the idea of justice. They like an independent judiciary. They don't like the state firing judges who don't get enough convictions, because that only leads to mistrials, and it would be the most blatant power grab ever in Scottish history, and it would be worse for it. How many innocent men would the SNP put in prison just to make them look good? It is disgusting and it is evil, and that is why it is SNP policy. She hit back at the claims from a former senior judge, Lord Uist, who made the constitutional argument against the plan that would run for a limited time. Ms Sturgeon said it is not a politician-inspired plan to undermine the justice system. Excuse me, that's exactly what it is. In fact, the proposal is based on a recommendation from Lady Dorian, Scotland's second most senior judge, who is desperate to be Scotland's most senior judge. She has a vested interest. She later concedes judges may be just as vulnerable to these myths as juries. There are no myths. The only myth is that there's myths. Because the only evidence that you can provide must come from inside a jury room, and there's no way you've got that unless you're listening to what's going on in a jury room, in which case you need to be prosecuted for a major crime. But this is the trouble with them. But anyway, but her, the whole issue is a separate argument though. But her sitting and saying that these people have immovable views is just stunning. It's absolutely amazing. Anyway, I shall round off and come up, but my God. I mean, how does she even say those words? As those words are coming out of her mouth, does she not listen to what she's saying? Does she not hear these things come out and realise how ridiculous it sounds coming from her? I suspect she doesn't, because I don't think she listens to anyone. Certainly not herself, because if she did, she'd realise that over the last sort of 16 years of SNP government, 99% of what's come out of her gob has been utter shite. I mean, she is just a moron, but she's a good politician, get me wrong, she's a great politician, but she is a fool in every way, and she's on the wrong decision every way. And if she seriously thinks removing trial by jury is a good idea, then let's have a referendum on that, and let's see if she can abide by democracy, because I bet she can't. She would absolutely hate the idea that people disagree with her so profoundly, so badly in fact, that if she tried to bring this in, she'd find herself in court. Now luckily it's not her responsibility to bring it in anymore, but Humza Yousaf, she'll be egging him on, and then he'll be in court, and then he will be humiliated when the European Court of Human Rights says no, you cannot do it. And he'll have wasted millions trying to prove it. What an arse though. They all are though. Every single one of them. It seems to be an entry requirement for the SNP that you're a complete and utter arsehole and loser and moron. Wonder where you get them, don't you? Anyway, I shall round off there. Thank you very much for listening. If you like what you're seeing here on the channel, please hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video, but mostly leave a like. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, always opt for a jury trial, and goodbye.